Good morning, everybody. I'm so sorry about the technical difficulties. I had to make sure everything was right. So, without further ado, we're going to start the show. So, happy Saturday, happy Sabbath, Assalamu alaikum. I hope everybody's having an amazing morning because I know that I am. I want to make sure before we start the show that I give you all the information that you need and resources just in case any of these topics ever touch a nerve, you're feeling emotional, because as I tell you every week, even though I'm a therapist, I'm not your therapist. You are going to have to go out and find that resource for yourself, whether it be in Kern County or the Los Angeles area. So, if you're struggling with any type of suicidal thoughts, if you feel like you need someone to talk to, I need you to contact 1-800-273-8255. They're always there to listen to you 24 hours a day. They will not judge. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. They're there for you, and they want to make sure that you have what you need. If you're in the Los Angeles area and you're struggling with any mental health issues, if you need a therapist, if you just need some type of social supports in the community, 800-854-7771 is the number for you. Make sure that you guys are writing these numbers down. But if you're not, this show will be on my page and you can always refer back. Last but not least, Kern County Behavioral Health and Recovery Services. So if you're dealing with any type of mental health issues, any type of substance use issues, just anything where you're going to need that type of resource, you can contact 800-991-5272. Again, that number is 800-991-5272. You know who you're following. You're following She Who Found Her Purpose. So if you have a topic that you want me to go over, if you want to come on the show, if you want to see somebody else on the show that you know, you can hit me up in my inbox at shewhofoundherpurpose@gmail.com. I'll get back to you ASAP. Make sure you're on the show because you know what I'm all about. I'm all about spotlighting people who have not had the spotlight on them. It's important that we highlight people in our community that don't get that recognition because it's a lot of amazing people out there. And, just because they're not on your TV or not on your radio doesn't mean that they don't have something important to say. So that's why we're having this platform. Last but not least, follow, like, and share. I'm on YouTube and I'm on Facebook. So if you're watching these videos and you like what you see, make sure that you follow, like, and share because I always have something good to talk to you guys about. So without further ado, I hope my energy not low. I'm a little, discombobulated, but, I will get there. My birthday was yesterday, y'all. I'm 43 and looking like me. Y'all know I always got something to say. My guest back there laughing, but y'all know how I am. I always got something to say. The gentleman that I have coming on today is amazing. I used to work with him. I'm all about the reentry community. I'm always spotlighting that community because I come from that community. Of course, Black people. Thank you. Oh, she said happy birthday. Thank you, girl. Thank you, cousin. But yes, I'm always trying to spotlight the community because we want to make sure that we don't forget about the little people. Once again, it's a lot of people that have that background or that just help in that field that want to see people be great. And so I want to bring those people on here. And today our topic is about bouncing back. We know bouncing back is something that we all have had to do once in our lives. It's extremely important because if you can't bounce back, then how you supposed to come back every time stronger and stronger. You know what I'm saying? So you need to learn the importance of bouncing back. And the gentleman that's coming on right now, I think that, I've seen him in action and he's taught people how to bounce back. He's given them hope. He's, instilled skills and tools. And, I really respect him for that. And also, he just he keep it real. And, that's what I'm all about on this show, keeping it real. So I'm going to bring on Dalphon. I know he itching to get on here, so I'm going to make sure he come in and he come in right.
What's up? What's up?
How you doing today? Or this morning?
Well. Listen, I am super well. I'm so excited And before we get started, I just got to give you your flowers. I've known you for a long time. I'm super proud of you. Just everything that you do for people, the
Thank
communities that you work in. So I definitely wanted to share that with you. And of course, happy birthday.
Oh,
Um,
thank you. Y'all know,
yeah,
and I got my vintage 1979 because I'm not
mhm,
scared to tell y'all when I was born. It's
right.
not a game. I'm proud because black don't crack.
There it is. There it is there. So definitely I wanted to tell you that. Happy
Thank
birthday and
you.
appreciate what you're doing. So yeah, I'm glad to be here. Let's get started. Just you know what I'm saying? So
Oh, look at that. Everything about me is amazing. Thank you. Thank you. I received that. Everything about me is amazing. No, like, no, don't get
absolutely,
me
you can
over
do
here. I'm gonna float off this. My head gonna get big.
it. It's
Y'all
all good.
don't do
It's
that to
nothing. You can do that.
but yeah, so we talking about bouncing back.
Yeah,
And the reason this is near and dear to my heart because I've had to bounce back so many times, and I'm not afraid to share it. I know a lot of people feel that when you get on here and you talk about your mishaps or you talk about the times when you failed, that it's negative or that you are just telling the world your sob story and don't nobody want to hear it. But at the end of the day, that can help somebody else.
yeah, absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. I think where we come from. We really try to offer individuals a different perspective. And I
Yes.
think with bouncing back, I think that's one of the biggest things is really um, allowing someone to see what has happened from a different perspective. And I think once we can kind of grasp that and maybe see it as an opportunity or to see it at working for our good, I think it's easier to kind of um, bounce back from those things that we deal with. So I think really is looking at it from a different perspective a lot of the time.
Okay, and I like that. I like that because really once again it is a different perspective and we all should have different perspectives. I think I've talked about that on other shows. Not I think I have. Because it's important that you surround yourself with people that aren't like yes people or
Yeah,
that feel the same way as you because that's not good. How are you going to be able to grow from that? You
right.
know? And you should be able to kind of I don't necessarily want to use the word argue, but debate on certain situations and agree to disagree because once again, we don't know everything and we're growing every single day.
Right.
And if you feel like you know everything, I don't even want you in my my circle.
Right. Right. Talking about bouncing back, I mean, knowing your story, you're probably the epitome of someone bouncing back. I've watched how you've come from a lot of things and, teaching that to others. I think another thing really that's important about just being able to bounce back is having that support. I think that's important as you talked about the people around you. And a lot of
Yes,
times people don't have that. They don't have the resources. They don't have the people in their ear telling them or encouraging them, and giving them that different perspective. So having a support system that is positive,
yes.
definitely important to that whole bouncing back. So
You know what that is? And it's difficult when, like you said, you don't even have that pool of, I guess, friends or family
right,
to get that positive support because a lot of us don't have that.
right,
Like you said, a lot of us don't have it, and it's not normal for us to go out and look for it. So then we just stay in that same area or in those same surroundings because we don't know any better and we're comfortable.
hmm
Maybe that's the word I should be using. We're comfortable in that space and we don't know how to venture out and seek those different resources or those different personalities or different energies because
right,
now in this day and age we talk a lot about energy and
right,
energy is something I think that we are all attracted to
hmm
that is big because it's real.
yeah,
When you feel some negative energy from somebody, that's probably some negative energy. That's real.
yeah, absolutely. And kind of a segue into that. So understanding, and I think it kind of ties into even with having that perspective. So when you have different support, it's kind of like as a kid when you were doing an Easter egg hunt, and there was an objective, there was a purpose, and many times in bouncing back is it's because there's a sense of purpose. So even though I'm going through this, but I know there's a direction and a destination
Mm,
that I need to follow through. So,
yes.
and I think that's important. So even in that, as a kid, when you're looking for those Easter eggs, you know that there's a purpose. You're either looking for that egg that has the money or the egg that has a lot of the candy, but there's a purpose in that.
Yes.
So being able to bounce back, what keeps us moving is understanding that purpose. And I think just for me in my own personal life, is I knew that there was something greater than myself
Yes.
from a very young age. And so when I hit those obstacles and those trials, um, the reminder for me was it's bigger than me. So for
Okay.
me, that's what pushed me. So I think if we, as we work with individuals, is that allowing them to see a different perspective, having that support system in play, and if they don't have it, to help them go and seek that and look for that, and also um, just really allowing them to um, understand that change and understand like having that different perspective and just being able to bounce back off of those supports. So for me, I think that was it's really huge. It's really understanding there was something greater than myself. And that,
Okay. So I heard, okay, so it's about PP equals bouncing back. It was perspective, look, and
there you
purpose.
go. Yeah.
So, if you listen to others' perspective and then you figure out what your purpose is, that'll help you every time that you have to bounce back because that'll
Hmm.
give you that outlook, that'll give you that energy, that'll give you that wherewithal to say, okay, what was the perspective? Okay, yeah, this person said they were able to do it and they had it harder than me. So
Hmm.
I definitely know that I can get over this one. And then what's my purpose? Why am I doing this?
Hmm.
And I agree with you. Just going back to my own things, when I figured out what my purpose was, because I always felt like I wanted to help people,
Hmm.
but I didn't know how I was going to help people. I
Right.
think initially I was enabling people, and I didn't even know what that word meant, but I was
Right.
enabling people initially. And now my purpose is really to help people, and I know how to implement myself and to be able to do that in a positive way.
Right.
Marvinette said the setback sets you up for the comeback.
Yeah.
Period. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes. I think that saying is enough because
Yeah.
that comeback every time because you're never going to have if things are too smooth, I think that there's a problem. You know what I'm saying? Every 5 years, 7 years, I don't know, something going to get shook up, I feel.
Right.
Because it
Mhm.
needs to. You need to change and grow and develop into something or someone new. In
Right.
my opinion, I want to anyway. I don't think everybody may not agree, but I would like to grow into a different person every couple of years. I want to elevate and just be on a different level because I never want to be the old me. The old me was messing up and didn't know nothing and wasn't listening and bumping
Right.
her head and you know what I mean? So once again, every time I had to bounce back, I learned from that mistake. And
Right.
by me learning, I was able to apply those things to my everyday life so I wouldn't go through that same issue again.
Right. Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. I was sitting here thinking about growing up in my childhood, and my father, um, earlier on, he was addicted to drugs, and so the house was a little chaotic. Um, from abuse to the fighting, and even me as a kid sitting in the dope house and watching
Mm,
my dad do crack. And as I got older, I realized that I didn't have the opportunity to choose my parents. I didn't really have a choice to say, okay, let me have this lifestyle. But I
right,
recognized earlier on that I had a choice that even though I didn't start that first chapter of my story, but I could complete the rest of it. And from
Yes.
having that perspective, knowing that this might have happened, but I have the power to write what happens after.
Yes.
And being able to bounce back when you recognize that strength that you have and that ability to be able to write what the rest of your story looks like. I mean, I think about you, that everything that you went through, that you didn't give up, you did not stop, you were purposed on something, and nothing was going to keep you from that. And so
Yes.
when you have that understanding that, my life is, I have control of my life.
Right.
And once you realize that, I feel like you build on that. You build on that truth. You build on that value of that,
Yes.
of the power. So,
And you're right, but it took me a long time to get to that point. And I think you met me at a time in my life. I don't know. I mean, others around me said that they seen it, but I couldn't see what you guys saw. I'll just
mm,
say that. And I still felt like I had a long ways to go, but I knew once again I had a purpose. And I was like, okay, I'm here for some reason. I don't even know if I'm ever be able to be a therapist because at that time I hadn't been able to really work in the field. I was doing jobs that were lateral to that position, but
right,
I could not go in that field because they wouldn't let me because of my record. And like you said, I never gave up. I didn't give up hope. I kept saying, I'm gonna do this. I didn't know how, but I was like, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna keep working because eventually I'll get to a place where I'm at least close or something, And
mhm,
I'm here now, and I am thankful. And Marvinette said sometimes others see you in a way that you don't see yourself, and that's true.
most
A lot
definitely.
of the times they do. You know? And I think for me, it took others, not family. And I think that's true for a lot of people. We will listen to people that are not our family before we'll listen to our family or our friends, because their opinion is valued more, because they don't know us. And then if
Right,
it's something that is negative, you can kind of receive that and be like, okay, I can take that rather than it being from a close friend and you feel like they're really criticizing you when it's
right,
really constructive criticism.
right, for sure. And I think for anybody, because everybody's situation is a lot different, and everybody has experienced different things. But I think the principles are the same for everyone. It's really understanding my purpose, having that different perspective, having that support around you, and really just seeing things in a way that you never saw it before. So when you talked about those lateral positions and feeling like you weren't there, in hindsight, you could probably look back and look at all of the things that you gained from those experiences, from
Definitely.
those
Yes.
opportunities. And so I think for those that are listening, that whatever you're facing in the moment, what opportunities or how, what is it, what positives can come from this? And I know sometimes that's hard to look at. Maybe you're in a job that you don't like right now, or maybe you're somewhere where you don't want to be. So don't focus so much on the negative, because you might miss one of those positives that's going
Yeah.
to help you get to the next phase. And so that's what I had to learn was, I'm here now, but that doesn't mean that I'm here to stay.
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't like it right now, but that doesn't mean that I'm here to stay. It's uncomfortable right now, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to stay here.
Right.
This is temporary. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what helped me, throughout the years, to be able to bounce back.
And that's awesome. I was just having that conversation with another coworker, and we were talking about everything that you just said and just how all those other positions kind of set you up. They make you who you are when you do arrive. You know what I mean? Because eventually you're going to arrive,
Hmm.
especially if you continue to push forward and you utilize everything that you've learned every time you've had to bounce back.
Right.
If
Right.
you pull, like you said, those positives out of there, well, you know what? I got this skill, I got this resource, because that's a part of building those healthy relationships. When you go to these jobs, that's how I met you. I mean,
Right.
I seen you. Were in school at the same time, but I didn't really know you.
Right.
And when we worked together, I was able to get to know you on a different level. and building those relationships and having those healthy supports, you're able to reach back to those people and say, hey, you, excuse me, I'm dealing with this, or I'm
Mhm.
struggling with this. Can you help me? And people
Right.
are going to be willing to help you.
Yeah, most definitely. If for those that feel like, maybe they're not able to bounce back like other people, they ask, how did you do that? And I really think it's just from the beginning is building upon that skill set. And so, like you said, taking what you've learned, taking those values of being able to say, I'm going to look at things from a different perspective. And
Right.
you continue to build on that. And so as I got older, I realized like, okay, this is kind of familiar. I've been here before. It didn't kill me. I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep.
There
And
you go,
so
right there.
for those that feel like maybe they're not as resilient, but it's a skill that you can build on. You build your network. You build your support team. Um, the numbers that you give at the beginning of the show, that's part of that support.
Yes.
Maybe you're feeling a certain way and you want to give up. So all of those things, the resiliency and being able to bounce back is just really something that we can build on. So if you feel like you're not as strong as someone else, trust there was a process that you don't see,
Hmm.
um, that they had to build on. So
Definitely.
yeah, most definitely.
And especially in the brown and black community, I do want to make sure I say, we have a problem with reaching out. So, like he said, those numbers that I gave you in the beginning, I give you those numbers for a reason. This show, you have access after it's off, for a reason. So you can look at those numbers because it's okay to call those numbers. It's okay to ask for help. And these are the numbers you can go to because once again, a lot of us don't have that support, the
Right.
support that we trust. Because yeah, you can go tell so and so, but they gonna go tell so and so, and they gonna go tell so and so, and that's why you're not sharing now. That's why you're not comfortable now because someone probably has hurt you, or not kept that secret. And these are those resources that will. And I talk about therapists a lot. I believe in what I do.
Yeah, most definitely.
Even if I'm not your therapist, there are therapists that are out there like me. You know, um, when we were doing Being Powered with Lamati, the two young ladies that were on the show, they're in Bakersfield, they're in Kern County. They definitely are positive resources and can be reached through those phone numbers that were on the site. So there are always therapists out there that are relatable. You may have to dig, you may have to ask questions, but that's what you got a mouth for. Look.
Sure. It goes back to my analogy as a kid. You know, I wanted to find the Easter egg with the money. So
Yes.
you have to ask yourself, do I want better? Do I want my situation to change? And that could be scary. It could, being vulnerable and not really knowing what to expect, especially for our community, seeking outside support, that's just not common. But I will say that over the years, with the awareness of mental health, and it's changing, we're actively changing that, but it's not common. And so at some point, we want that to be the norm, that reaching out to professionals and those who do this, who are dedicated to supporting other people, that they do that. So um, once again, we have to ask ourselves, am I comfortable being where I'm at? And do I want to change the situation?
Right.
Once you have that desire, um, as a kid, it didn't matter. I was looking under cars and bushes because I wanted something. I had a purpose. So I think when it comes to bouncing back, you just have to want and have that desire to want different. So
So with you being a educator,
yes,
what skills, what tools, what things do you normally recommend or implement when you're working with someone, whether it be from the reentry community, whether it just be from the community, underserved communities? Because I know a lot of the time those are the communities we um, focus on. And Felicia said being intentional, definitely
absolutely,
being
absolutely.
intentional, yes, Because in the beginning, we don't know, we're not intentional. Just like I've brought up when I used to pray. I didn't know really how to pray. I didn't even know what I was praying for. They just told me you gonna say this and this, and pray. But as I got older,
Right,
I
right.
started to really feel the prayer and know what I was praying for. My prayer became intentional, and so with it becoming intentional, I think that more came from my prayers. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They were answered.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Not too
absolutely.
spiritual, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, most def like she said, and being intentional. Because even if it's negative, we have an intent,
Yes,
so whether it's um to fail, whether it's to go forward, like there is an intent. So we just have to once again find that different perspective and take that energy. You talked about the energy, um, and push forward. So if my intent is to change my situation, then that means people around me that are not in that same mode, it's not going to be conducive. So I'm going to start to maybe move away from those things. So being
right.
intentional really dictates the outcome.
Yeah,
So whether that's positive or negative, you know.
yeah.
Um,
That
so
is
yeah,
very true.
most
That's true.
definitely. So as an educator, you know, doing what I do now, so I am working on becoming a licensed therapist as well. So
Oh,
that,
you are what?
yeah,
Oh, look at you.
yeah.
I didn't know
So
that.
yeah, for sure.
Congratulations. Yes, definitely. This is where you need to be.
Yeah. So I got some time, so I'm in supervision right now, and I just passed the law and ethics exam, so that was
Congratulations. That's
I
the
was
first
working
step.
out of the right.
Test is next.
Um, so honestly, for me, I think it's just really being able to hear and understand, like, what is happening, what is what is the problem. When I say the problem is, what is it within you that you're not happy with and that you want to change. I
Mhm.
think being able to define that, because there are some people who are moving, and a lot of times it's out of just survival, and they
Yeah,
really haven't taken time to really say, what is it that I want, because I'm not happy here. And so once they can define what that problem is, and then we begin to understand what that looks like. So,
right.
um, being in survival mode, that's what we do at the moment. But I think once we can move ourselves from the survival mode and start to live a little bit, then we start to be intentional and we move differently. So let's say that there's a young man who is not having his needs met, and he feels like I have to take so that I can survive. I mean,
Mhm.
that's an individual being in survival mode. But once you start seeing a different perspective, and then you start having that support, so now those decisions that I make, I start making different decisions, because I realize now that even though I'm trying to survive, but is this hurting other people or myself?
Right. And how can I do it differently?
And how can I do it differently?
Right.
And so once they define the problem, they understand that they want something better, and then we start looking at other ways of how do we get there. Maybe this worked for that moment, but now let's change it, and so that we can move positively in the right direction. So that's kind of what I do, working in the education field. And I think just in general, what we do is really, just giving people the tools, and really just offering a different perspective. Because at the end of the day, that there's nothing special about me. It's just really allowing them to see life through a different lens.
Right. And I mean, I don't want you to say it's not about you. So, now I'm gonna be a therapist to you because I'm all about affirmations and positive self-talk. It is you because if it's not you, they're not even going to be in therapy. You know
Facts.
what I mean? You have to be able to build that rapport with them. You have to be relatable. You have to be providing a safe space. You have
Absolutely.
to make them feel comfortable in order for them to even share with you and
Absolutely.
take any type of information from you. So it is about you. at the end of the day.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So you don't say that no more. No, look,
yeah.
don't say that no more.
I mean, I know, like I said, I know my purpose, so I know that ultimately,
It
you
starts
know,
with you. Let me say that. It starts with you.
they,
It's going to end with them.
right, absolutely. And so, and I think that, like you said, when we connect individuals to resources, and we're just part of that linkage. We're just part of that support tree. So um, yeah, it's really just about being an intricate part of individual lives, and I think that's just what we've dedicated to do this whole time. So.
It is. It is. And I love what you said about surviving. And, I'm all about thriving. But, when we talk about surviving and thriving, I think I always think about the analogy about the car engine.
Mm,
When you're in survival mode, you always have your foot all the way down to the floor on the gas.
all
So
the way.
you're running that engine at whether that car goes at 160 miles per hour, you on 160, 365 days of the year. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And when you start to thrive, you're able to find that medium, and you
Yep.
can be on the freeway at 70, 80, or, put it on cruise control, and you're not burning your motor out, and it's going to last you longer. That's the
Right.
same with your body. You know
Right.
what I mean? You can't always be in survival mode, and you do have to find that medium where it puts you into thriving. But finding that medium is where we're at. Like
Yeah.
Delphine was saying, it's the resources, it's who you put in your circle, who your team is, and your mindset.
Yeah. Most
Because your
definitely.
mindset is going to take you a long way as well. Your mindset should change from a child to a young adult to an adult. Your views should change, your morals and values should change. And, I talk about that a lot as well, in CBT, different things like that, because just your morals and values should change. Because as he talked about, whether it's stealing, as a child, you may just pick up a piece of candy and not think of it as stealing. As you get older, you know that that's stealing. As an adult, you don't want to steal. You shouldn't have to steal, because by then, hopefully, we're working, we've elevated to a different level in our life. So we know, okay, that's only 50 cents or a dollar or $12 for a candy bar, because, everything going up these days. So a lot
Oh,
of
me
people
too.
might be stealing, but we're not telling y'all to steal. But I'm just saying, a lot of people might be stealing soon, because seasoning salt is $15. So I don't know what they're doing in the world, but
It's, my gauge point was the price of bacon. When I see the price of bacon just go higher and higher, I'm like, yep, yeah.
see,
I,
I'm trying to jump on, and y'all don't get me wrong, but everybody out here getting these food stamps and PEBT. Shoot, I need a friend to kick in, because I mean, because times is hard. Shoot, they not helping the people that got a job. They don't do that.
it's
Anyway,
a
sorry y'all. That's about bouncing back. That's why you go to work. That's why you get a career.
I was just about to say. So you look at that and say, okay, how do I get out of this situation?
Exactly.
For sure. I mean, but the struggle, I mean, it's real. We all have been through the struggle, and like you said, when I am just in that moment, when I'm just trying to survive, I have tunnel vision. Like you said, my foot is pressed fully down on the gas. I remember I have got a new car, and it was brand new. I didn't know too much about it, and the passenger, family member of mine, when I was with them, they was in the car with me one day, and it was like, that there's cruise control on that, and I'm like, what, for real? And so that's the way it is in life sometimes, is that's what those supports are there for, is to kind of offer you some information that you probably didn't know. So
Yes.
instead of me, just my foot on the gas the whole time on the freeway, now that they let me know that there's cruise control, you best believe that I was on cruise control all the time. And so we
Right.
just put that in our lives. And that's the purpose of, when we are facing certain things, know that situations that we are facing, I guarantee you that someone else has faced that same situation.
Yes. Yes.
And so know that there is someone out there who made it through. And so just
You are
Don't be
not
afraid to
alone.
ask for help. You are not alone, for
Yes.
sure.
So I know we're coming, to the end of the show, but I wanted to share with you guys, and we pretty much kind of, I think we hit on all of these, just different things that bouncing back can help with,
Mhm.
throughout life. We talked about success, so leveling up
Right.
and our personal experiences, core values. I hit about on that a little bit about morals and values and that
Yeah.
how that should change. Social values, I think we even hit on that, huh?
Yeah. I think we did definitely hit
We
on that.
did. People
Yep.
bouncing back. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, no, no. You're good. Keep going.
People bouncing back. So yeah, I think that would be perspective. So I think that's kind of what you were talking about, using them as a resource if they've already been through it and
Hmm.
experienced it, then use them. Courage. I think that that's a good one. I didn't even building your courage. Every time that you have to bounce back, it does build your courage. And I think that's why you're able to tackle the next issue with ease. You know what I mean? You might be a little shook, but it won't set you back like it probably did before. What do you think?
Absolutely. And I think in order to experience courage, you have to be in a place where there's some vulnerability of fear.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
so how can I be courageous if I've never have to or never been through a situation where I was vulnerable or where I felt some fear or some anxiety? So um, yeah, definitely the courage. I think we talked a little bit about that vulnerability, and
Yeah,
there were moments
vulnerability.
where it's like, man, what am I going to do? Do I take this next step? How do I get out of here? So courage is um, definitely important.
Oh, Felicia said courage takes action.
Yes, it does.
Yes. Oh, yes, it does. And a lot of people, once again, are afraid to take that action. So you have to get to that point when, like that Fawn was just saying, you have to get to that point where you're ready to be courageous. And that's scary for a lot of people because when you get to that courage part, you're usually by yourself. Honestly, you know what I mean? And you taking
Most
that leap of
definitely.
faith.
Most definitely.
So yeah. Mm. Okay, and what bouncing back, you have the bright side. Okay, I see that, the bright side. It's always a bright side, that silver lining.
Yep. Yep.
Oh,
I think
so how
that goes
does
into what perspective, looking at
yes,
it from a different viewpoint.
yes, definitely. What about emotions?
Definitely emotions. Emotions is for me. Emotions are super tricky because we're in and out of those. But I think having the um, emotional stability and being able to regulate that is
Yes.
to me is key when it comes to bouncing back because maybe I can, and this could be due to experience, that I can perceive something that causes me to be in such an uproar. But let's say that I'm driving, I don't know, down the street and I got to be at work and the traffic is stopped. So in that moment, I can be an emotional wreck and
Mm-hmm.
let that mess up my day. Or I could say, you know what? While I sit here, I'm gonna go ahead and take some time to pray and give God thanks. So
Right.
being able to have that emotional regulation for me, I think is important when it comes to bouncing back because everything is not viewed as a crisis. I learned that it's all good. I can take a deep breath. That's just kind of how I see bouncing
Right.
back with those emotions.
And I agree with you on that because I think that's what I've learned to do too. I'll just breathe and I'm like, okay, it could have been worse. I've been through worse. I can figure this out. Then my mind just started working. So after that, that's my mode that I notice I immediately get quiet and I'm thinking because once again, I know that it's been worse. I know I can probably take care of the situation. I just need to take my time and figure out how I'm going to do that.
Yeah, and they're going to come. I think one thing is that people feel like because there's an emotion there that they're not supposed to have that, and that's just not the case. But it's
Right.
it's how I regulate this and how do I manage what I'm feeling in this moment. Uh,
Yes. And a lot of people don't even know the difference in a lot of emotions. I found that, just getting into the field, all we
mm,
think about is happy and sad or happy and mad,
right,
but there are so many different emotions that you can potentially have and feelings. But we're used to just going to those immediate emotions that we've heard of all our life.
right.
And when we
Right.
start to understand that there are all these different ones, it's like, man, I wasn't even really mad. I might have been scared or anxious or maybe just frustrated or, just all these different things. But it's just figuring out who you are, honestly. And I
Right.
didn't figure out who I was until I was 40 and I was still working on it. So just imagine someone going through these things or having to bounce back when they're younger and not having this insight or anybody to, lean on, which once again comes back to why we do the show or why I wanted to have this platform, just
Absolutely.
to make sure that um, I empower everyone that's out there, that we're educating you guys. You may not even think you're learning anything, but you're going to always learn something on this show, or I'm going to try to teach you something, you know, and
Most
just,
definitely.
make sure that we're encouraging you as well, because you may not have anyone that's encouraging you or telling you that you can do it or that it's possible, and we want to sit up here and show you that it is possible, tell you that you can do it and give you the skills and the tools to potentially be able to do it. But it's up to you. You have to grab that baton, you have to call those numbers, you have to reach out to those resources to be able to get to that point.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Just for anybody that's out there, wherever you are, just know that you write your story. Doesn't matter where you started. So you write your story of how you want to finish it. Continue to seek help if you're getting help. If you haven't gotten any help and you need help, please reach out to those numbers,
Put
or
them
to
back
your,
up.
yeah, most definitely. Please reach out, if you need that support. If you know someone in your life that's a safe space for you, reach out to them, because I believe that, if you don't know, those individuals should be able to hopefully point you in the right direction. Um, yeah, and just remember there is purpose. So just keep bouncing back, keep moving forward.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on the show today. I appreciate all your amazing insight. It's always good every time we talk. Of course, you're amazing. That's why I had you on here. Everyone I have on here is amazing, guys. I always tell you guys that because they are. But I really appreciate you just being who you are, you know what I mean? And especially being a Black man doing what you're doing, just sharing the little tidbits that you did share today. I appreciate that because I know that a lot of people think that when Black people are in certain positions, it's because they've had it easy and they didn't have to fight to get there. And even my brown people, because I love y'all too. But that's not always the case. Yeah, we may not have had a two-parent household, or somebody's parent may have been on drugs, siblings on drugs, the individual may have been on drugs themselves. But that doesn't mean that you can't bounce back. That doesn't mean that you can't be great. That doesn't mean that you can't come back and try to encourage and empower and educate the people that are coming up after you, because that's what it's all about.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that you guys are, first of all, staying safe, because COVID's still out there. What is it? Omicron? I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but y'all know
Hmm.
country. but,
They
but
know what you're talking about. They know what you're talking
but yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You guys stay safe, wear your mask. I want you to make sure you refer to those numbers if you are having any type of mental health issues. If you just need to talk, because when we say mental health issues, people are like, I'm not crazy. That's not what I'm saying. If you need to talk, if you need an ear, if you just are having a hard day, a hard month, whatever it is, call any of those numbers. You can always come back to the site and get them. Remember to follow, like, and share my page on YouTube and on Facebook. And once again, if you have a topic that you want to talk about, or if you want to be on the show, hit me up in my inbox, she who found her purpose at gmail.com, or on my Facebook page. You can hit me up there and I'll get back to you guys. You guys have an amazing rest of your day. I appreciate you, Delphine. I appreciate my audience. Thank you guys
about.
for coming today. I appreciate you guys. And I will see you next Saturday, same time, same place.
Enjoy your
Bye.
birthday, girl.
Thank you. Have a good day.